What's up, friends? We're back. Welcome to How to Get a Dream Internship. This is an event series from Adobe where we chat with special guests about how they're achieving their dream careers. If we're just meeting, I'm your host, Grace Hathaway, and I'm a community engagement specialist here at Adobe. Shout out to everyone in the chat with us. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and feel free to connect with each other on LinkedIn. We're going to give you guys a few minutes to get started. Let everybody come in. And in the meantime, I will introduce our guests. Today, we're joined by Cameryn Williams, Sole Ortiz-Ruiz, McKinley Lowery, and Cameron Shaw. These are all amazing students or recent grads that have landed their own dream internships. And we're going to be doing a Q&A session with them, and then they're going to show us some of the cool projects they made with Adobe Express. Where's everyone from? Okay, we got Orange County, San Jose. Hi, Monique. Costa Rica. I love how we always have such an international, we have so many international followers. Detroit, LA. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Panelists, where are y'all from? Where are you guys based?
Chicago.
I'm from Riverside, California.
Okay, California, represent.
Sunny San Diego.
Ooh.
I am currently in New York, but from Detroit.
Nice, another Detroit. New York, okay. New York, Dallas. We got another Texas. I'm in Austin. Melbourne. I never know how to say Melbourne because I feel like the Australians say it Melbourne, but there's an R in there. Melbourne, Atlanta, Maryland, Huntsville. Oh, Huntsville. Another Detroit, France. Okay.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Argentina. Nice. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As usual, we have a special challenge for you today. We have an Adobe Express template for you to try out and some fun giveaways. Of course, we can't leave you hanging without your goodies. So here's how it works. We're going to drop a link to a template right now, and we'll keep dropping it throughout. And you're going to go to this Adobe Express Instagram story post, and you can use it on mobile or desktop. You can change it up, personalize it, post your project to your LinkedIn profile page as a post, and tag hashtag Adobe Dream Internship and hashtag Express It, and drop a link to your LinkedIn post in the chat here by the end of the event. And if you do that, if you post a link to your LinkedIn post in this chat by the end of the event, the first 25 people to do that will get a special code for a very fun prize. And out of that group, 4 lucky attendees will be randomly selected for a one-on-one mentoring session with Cameryn, Sole, McKinley, or Cameron. And a free year of Creative Cloud, which y'all know, God bless, we all need a free year of Creative Cloud, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. So make sure that you're going to that link that we're dropping in the chat, and you can personalize your template. While you guys do that, I'm going to show you how I personalized my template. Today, I actually demoed an Instagram post. So because it's an Instagram story, I ended up putting mine on my story, but you can put yours on your LinkedIn and then link it here. My birthday is in a few weeks, so I actually made a birthday outfit inspo mood board. Since we're doing fashion today, I thought I would try my hand at a little fashion mood board. So I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, so here is our template that we're remixing. All you have to do is hit remix, and it takes you into Adobe Express. And I'm going to go ahead and find where these photos are in my layers and replace them, and then go ahead and scale and crop my photo so that it fits within that box. So I'm scaling it, and then I'm going to hit the crop button and crop it down to where it fits inside of my little box. That's my dog in the background. Sorry, y'all. And then I'm going to find that photo and go in and replace that photo as well. So I'm putting shoes in here because very important. These particular shoes are 5 inches, so I'll just be 6'3" on my birthday. It's fine. We love a tall queen. And then for this one, I actually wanted this one to be horizontal. So I just flipped it around a little bit, and I'm gonna put some pants in there. So I have my feathers up top, and I'm gonna do some pleather pants because you got to go all out for your birthday. Put these in sideways. There's an easy fix for that. You just hit rotate. And then I'm going to just scale those a little bit so they fit in there better. So it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Scale them down and then switch up my text a little bit. It is still 2022, so we'll keep that. And then I'm going to put in some birthday mood board text and just change up the line spacing. And then I'm actually going to move this down to where it's easier to see and move 2022 up to the top. There we go. Make sure that's all lined up. And then for this birthday mood board text, I kind of want it to pop a little bit more than it is right now. So I'm going to go in and change the color of it. I'm also reordering these so that they don't lay on top of the photo. So to do that, you can just go in those layers and drag them down. It's really easy. And then as you can see, I'm changing the color of my text. And then once my project is saved, that allows me to go into Content Scheduler and actually schedule the post. It's super easy to connect your account. I did it right here because mine wasn't connected yet. And then you can go ahead and hit schedule. And for Instagram stories, I actually like to just go straight to the app and take it from the app. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So once you have a project in your desktop, it also saves to your app if you're logged in. So you can see here that my project was already in my app, and I just click on it and click the Instagram button. And then it takes me straight into Instagram, which is super, super convenient. And then I just hit story, and then I can post to my story. Super simple. Really cute mood board inspo. Such a fun project. Let's get into it. Just a reminder, you guys have a link to that exact template in the chat. So go ahead, go in, remix it, show us what you made, and you just have to post it on your LinkedIn and drop the link in the chat here. Our mod will send over your gift after the event, and we'll let you know which 8 of you were selected for the Creative Cloud and the one-on-one. Okay, Sole, McKinley, Cameryn, and Cameryn, are you guys ready for some questions? I'm really excited to chat with y'all today.
Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Okay, so first of all, I would love to know just like basics about you. Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. Just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
I'll go ahead. Hi, everyone. My name is Cameryn Shaw. I'm a graduating student from UCSB, and I'm a social media intern for Tourist Souvenirs. And it's an Instagram account that highlights unique fashion and iconic runways. And most recently, we launched a storefront that is curated by our founder, Yeva Tamara. And while at Tourist, I gather and edit photos and videos from photo shoots. I curate and create content. I suggest creative endeavors, and I also scout designers to add to our storefront.
I guess I'll follow that. Hello, everyone. My name is McKinley Laurie III. I am a recent HBCU graduate of the illustrious Norfolk State University in Virginia, and I am currently at Columbia University for my master's in human capital management. And along with that, I am interning at Moncler right now as a client relationship management intern, where basically I assist with planning in-store activations, vendor management, tracking expenses, things like that. So I'm having an amazing time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Soleil. I'm actually a student at UC Santa Barbara, so I know Cami really well. We both went to school together. I had the pleasure of interning for Adidas / Ivy Park, which is Beyonce, Miss Carter's culture-breaking brand, and I had the position of an originals brand communication. So what that entailed was everything consisting of trying to design and create campaigns for her launch, and also to finding ways to really put these clothes and these apparels into culture in such an authentic way and showing up in just amazing moments. So that's a little bit about me.
Hey guys, my name is Cameryn. I graduated from Pace University in New York in the spring of 2021. And now I'm working full time as a media coordinator, which means I deal with everything advertising related for Gucci in the North America region. So that is like print advertising and like Vogue magazine, Harper's Bazaar, etc. Billboard advertising, huge billboards in like New York and Los Angeles. And then experimental activations like art walls, like in Detroit or in Soho, or even like building projections, like anything that's not like social media and like digital is what my team does.
Amazing. Come on, resumes. Y'all are all so impressive. That's very, very cool. I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you all. So my first question is, how did you come across these internships and jobs? Tell us a little bit more about how you got into these jobs.
I found my internship on tourist Instagram stories while I was scrolling, and luckily I found it and I immediately applied through there.
My internship journey has kind of been all over the place a little bit. Going into college, it was important for me to do an internship every summer. So I told myself, you're going to find an internship every summer. So by the time that you graduate, you know exactly what you want to do. And I went to college as a finance major, but found my heart in luxury fashion. So it kind of consisted of, LinkedIn searching. I'm probably on LinkedIn every day. But majority of my experiences I have found through LinkedIn or recruiting fairs is because I also have internship experience within banking, consulting, and also real estate, and more recently, luxury fashion.
Something that I resonated with and I talk a lot about on TikTok is LinkedIn. That's like my holy grail. I feel like when I applied to my internship, that was in a moment where I thought I was not going to get a job post grad. And I remember stumbling across Adidas because I thought in my head, what brands did I want to work for? And Adidas was one of them. And then I happened to see that they had a special spot for Be Good, which is Beyonce's organization. And I was like, I am going to apply to all of the positions that offer this. Even if I feel like I'm not qualified, I'm going to do that. And I remember sitting down, applying to 100 internships. Some of them were Adidas, others were different, and just kind of like, all right, fingers crossed, let's see where it goes. But my holy grail is LinkedIn. Like that's like the best space to network and to find these jobs. Just looking up the brand you want to work for, along with the field you want to work for, and just kind of just applying, even if it's blindly applying, putting yourself out there, because the least you can do is network.
Yeah, I think my strategy for getting jobs and internships was very gradual. I think I started very, very small when I began as a freshman in college. I found this random, it wasn't even an internship. It was literally like a volunteer position in New York, and it actually did not pay a single thing. And I did not even know what the company was. But I was like, hey, like, I've never done anything in professional fashion. Let me just try something small. So I was able to like exchange like help for experience. And that type of exchange put a new perspective on networking. So I guess my internship experience really is through networking, because once I had that first job, I like really showed like commitment and passion to the people I was working under. And then that led me to my next place. And having that same work ethic led me to my next place and my next place. And then I was like, oh, I know what this brand is. I know what this magazine is. And now I'm like at a place where I can like apply to an organization like Gucci and then be able to hear something back, because, I started small and then like worked my way up.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I love the different approaches that we have. Seems like LinkedIn is one of the places to be, which glad we're here right now. And it seems like you all had kind of different journeys coming into this. So how did you each know that you wanted to pursue a career in fashion? Because Cameryn Williams, you mentioned that you were kind of getting to know the fashion industry through this internship. And McKinley, you said that you came in as a finance major. So how did you guys make your way to fashion?
I remember being in elementary school and it was come as your dream career day, and I decided to come as a fashionista. So I think that started my love for it. But really in high school, I went to my first music festival and I saw how everyone was dressed so differently and cool. And I feel like that was really the kickstart of just my love for fashion. And I knew I wanted to get into it.
For me, my love for fashion started also in high school. One, experimenting with different styles and trends, of course. And then I actually went on my first international trip to France and Spain with my language teachers, and just the exposure to the French language and culture. And I became obsessed with how people dressed and lived over there. And then from there, it was always, I wanted to start my own brand. And from there, going into college, I started out as an entrepreneurship major because that's my end goal. And then I felt like, okay, I can fall back on my backup option, finance, and kind of leverage that experience. But I also wanted to make sure I was able to find opportunities within fashion. So I competed in a competition with Thurgood Marshall College Fund in a innovation pitch competition with Gucci Changemakers. And from there, they told us an experience that they were putting together about a program, for those interested in luxury fashion. And of course, I said, okay, this is Gucci. This is an amazing once in a lifetime opportunity. So just followed up and networked throughout that. And honestly, I found my heart. So that's how that started.
Yeah, I feel like growing up for me, I grew up with a single parent who didn't really have money to buy the newest clothes back when, like Forever was 21 was popping, or all these different stores were really popping. And I had a lot of siblings and I always got the hand-me-downs. And it was kind of finding a way to make it work and to kind of express myself. And so the thrift stores were my stores growing up. Like that was my store. And in a way, it really helped me just find my sense of style, my sense of individuality. And so I would just go and find different pieces and kind of match it. And I never was wearing what people were wearing at school that were trendy, I guess. It was always something a little different, which, I mean, looking back, I think was what's made me really love fashion. And then post high school, I got a job with a sports industry. And I feel like I was always put in the box to work with sports because that's something that just appealed to me. But I knew that I really loved fashion. And then once I started my internship, I think that intersects fashion and sports, two things I'm very passionate about. And that's what led me to kind of where I am right now.
I could definitely say I had a moment of huge inspiration in high school. I remember back then knowing that I was creative and that I liked the arts, but I didn't really know exactly. Like I was trying dance, I was trying theater, I was trying drawing, and I was like, okay, I'm not great at most of these things, but I know I'm creative. But I remember seeing the Yeezy Season 1 fashion show by Kanye West back when I was maybe like a sophomore or junior. And for some reason, it just clicked. But not only like did it click because I was like, this is a cool project by like a cool person, but it gave me this desire to study it in the same way I didn't feel that with other arts. So that's what I did. I went on Wikipedia and started like looking up like fashion people. Who is Anna Wintour? What is her story? And then I started like Googling like the backstories between like editors and magazines and brands that I like heard of and liked. And that like study just continued on until I like grasped it enough to know like, okay, this is something that like falls into my skill set a little bit and I can build on to something that's like an actual career. But through that building, it became a passion. So it just worked.
That's awesome. I'm imagining you like Googling like fashion people. Anna Wintour. It's like that girl at the beginning of The Devil Wears Prada where she's like, who, the what? What's cerulean?
Literally, like what is cerulean?
That's awesome. I also love how many of you have like clearly had a little bug in your ear about fashion, like since you were little, you know, you've kind of always gravitated towards this. I think that's really, really cool. Was there anything you did in school specifically that helped you prepare for these internships?
When I transferred to my university in 2020, it was during the pandemic and COVID-19. So I was super nervous of how I was going to make friends, especially with school being fully online. So that quarter, I decided to found the fashion club at UCSB, which has been such an amazing accomplishment and so rewarding to look back on. And I gained so many lifelong friends and experiences. I learned so much from meetings, events, student highlights. In addition, I was also able to assist in the founding of the club's tri-weekly market and publication, which was super rewarding as well. And I was able to create a community with people that liked the same things as me and represent everyone in my community. So I feel like that was one of the major things in school that I worked towards.
From my experience, my senior year of high school, I had the opportunity to be a part of this amazing program called Midnight Golf Program, and it caters to high school seniors across Metro Detroit, and it's basically a college preparation success organization where they teach you everything from networking to interview skills, resume writing, the importance of finding internships, and throughout that, the thing that I valued the most was the emphasis on stepping outside of your comfort zone, making sure that you make the most of your life in general. So from there, that kind of shaped that mindset of how I mentioned, okay, I'm going to do an internship every summer in every area that I'm interested in. Because, life is what you make it. So never put yourself in a box. And that's just kind of how I continue to think about a lot of things.
I couldn't agree more with McKinley. I feel like honing your craft in different areas really helped me, especially with on campus or at your university or at your school. There's so many clubs, organizations, and just classes that you can take that can really help you in the overall picture. So if you want to work in fashion or whatever field you want to work in, me specifically, I knew that I wanted to do something that had to do with fashion or writing or whatnot. So it's kind of honing my craft in like writing, honing my craft in like social media. And I picked up jobs within like my school's basketball team. And so I made TikToks for them. And that later came in handy because then when I was with Adidas, I got to meet with the TikTok team. And they sat down and they're like, hey, girl, like, can you spit game on how like you're working so effectively? Like we would need to learn. And it's kind of just doing things that serve for the overall picture, but doing it in that moment. I feel like it really helps you become multi and just well-rounded in different areas because you never know when they're going to need somebody that or your moment to shine comes. And you're like, I know this skill. So I think that's what's really helped me.
I think doing like a lot of realistic investigation into the job itself helped me definitely in college. Like when I came to New York initially, through all the studying that I was doing on Wikipedia, I realized everybody had an internship. And that's how they got their first job. And that's how they elevated from there and from there. And I realized, okay, well, that is practical. That's something that I can attain. But then it's like the reality of an internship in New York is really grueling. It like so much like manual labor that I experienced in my first couple years intern, like, going to class and then leaving class and going to an internship to like lug around bags full of like dresses and shoes that were really heavy and I wasn't getting paid to do it. But realizing that was the work. That's the reality of the work. It's really competitive. So when I snapped myself into that mindset, I was able to like learn the lesson from that, like where do I want to be in the future and how can like little Cameryn in college prepare for that now? And it was really just about preparing work ethic. Making sure I was able to be a yes man and like extend myself like as much as I physically and mentally could to like put myself at a cut above because, the reality is there's someone else who really wants to work in fashion and will work as hard or maybe harder than you to do it. So, being realistic about that and then, finding the pleasure in there too.
Absolutely. That's really good advice from you all. How do you feel like you stood out when you were applying to the internships that you have now?
I think my experience within Fashion Club stood out. However, I remember my founder telling me that she was specifically interested in my super small curated Instagram account where I would scavenge the internet for things that I loved and things that were unique to me. And our styles were extremely similar, and I showed my knowledge in fashion, and she liked my creativity within that. And I think that's what stuck out to her.
I think for me, what helped me stood out was my variety of experiences. So I've done property management, consulting, banking, and then of course fashion. But I think anytime I'm in an interview or just talking about my experiences, I'm always highlighting the fact that, I'm going to make sure that my life is fulfilled with, finding the right opportunities for me to continue to elevate, grow, and, learn as much as possible. Life is all about learning. So I think for me, what helped me stand out in the application and interview process was just, highlighting that, of course, yes, it is a variety of different experiences in different industries. However, I'm still a value add based off of these experiences.
Yeah, I think when I applied to the role, I know on LinkedIn sometimes it tells you how many people applied, and that can be intimidating to see like 500. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with it today. But no, I really think it was kind of something me was saying like, you know what? I'm only in competition with myself. Everyone else that's good for you, but like I only see competition within myself and to get better. So I remember I took the day, like the whole day, to perfect my resume. I was like, making sure it's just the best that I can be, or to show that I'm so capable of this role. And I remember like I didn't just apply to one, I applied to 6, and I even applied to some where I was like, I like this role but maybe it's not the best for me. I applied to it because I want to hear more about it. And I feel like maybe people agree with this, if you give me an interview I'm going to kill that interview. So I remember getting the interview like, all right. And I remember I majored in journalism, and for a lot of people they get discouraged for their major, and I was a bit discouraged. Like this is a different major role, and I'm a journalism major. But I remember walking in, and my recruiter saying like, "Hey, the person that's the manager, he's actually a journalism major too, and he saw that on your resume, and like it really stood out, and he wants to talk to you about it." And I remember we just clicked to the point where we just understood like journalism jargon and whatnot, and I really just kind of authentically like had that conversation, and it felt like a real conversation, not like it was just an interview and you're picking me for the role. But I think just really overall, what I got out of that is staying true to yourself and what you're capable of, and being confident that you're going to get it. I really think it helps your self efficacy when you go into the interview room, and it helps you shine, because if you're not confident, it's going to show. So it's either fake it till you make it or build yourself up type of thing.
So like I like completely agree with you. I'm an interview boy. I like to go in, I like to interview. And you're right, it's really about showing who you are, having a conversation. I got a really good piece of advice early on that I'm so grateful for. And it was basically saying that um people want to hire people that they like. They if you're gonna spend all these hours with a person, like I hope we can go to lunch. I hope we could like crack a joke and have a time and like get professional work done at a level of excellence and then be happy while doing it. And realizing that this person that was interviewing me wasn't like not even like a teacher or like a barrier into like this position, but just like a person that I would potentially A, work with, and B, maybe be friends with. Like leaning into the conversational part. Of course, like saying, yeah, I'm good at Photoshop. I know how to use Excel. I'm good at writing emails. Yeah, like showing your hard skills, but also showing your heart, like who you are, making that statement for yourself, putting that on the table as presentation. I think people really connected with me when I did that. I know this because when I wasn't doing that, people did not connect with me. I did not get the job. When I was being like a stick to the books, very straight, like tidied up person, no, I was not getting the job. Once I was like, I'm Cameryn, I'm cool and I'm professional, I'm a hard worker and I like to do that. Then people started seeing me as a person, the real conversation happened, and then it proceeded to something better.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I feel like for all of you, like creating authentic, like being your authentic selves is really what got you in the door, like from your Instagram, Cameryn with a Y, Shaw, to just like being yourself in interviews and like really leaning into connections. And that's kind of something we've heard from previous students in other majors. Like we just did a panel with business sales students, and they said something similar. And so I think that that like applies across the board, which is just like be your authentic self. Like you're never gonna end up somewhere that you really love and who loves you back if you can't just be yourself from the beginning, right? So what was the application process like for each of your internships?
So because I found mine on Instagram, I decided to send in my cover letter and my resume, and of course, including what I would like to do moving forward with Tourist. And throughout a couple of interviews and some emails, I found out that I did get the role. And I remember it was Met Gala Monday, and that's the day that she told me. So she told me to review the gala on TikTok at like every hour. And it was definitely like very nerve-wracking because I'm not too much on TikTok with my own person. But looking back, it was so fun and a great introduction to the internship as well.
My application process consisted of, well, I found it on LinkedIn. So of course I had to submit my resume, things like that. Then I had a first interview within HR. And then following that, it was 2 other interviews within the department. So just a lot of similar conversations, just reiterating interests, experience, and things like that. But Cameryn, you made a great point about, people want to work with people who they would want to enjoy working with. So
my application process was very similar. I applied through LinkedIn. I had to submit my resume. The cover letter was very unique because it wasn't your traditional cover letter. They actually said, do whatever you want. You can submit a video, you can submit a web. I know one of my friends who's in the chat, shout out Josh, he created a website. So I know I'm a good writer, but like I was like, you know what, let me convey this in a different way. I just put pictures, literally pictures from my Instagram that just show off like my fun personality. And then I put little text under it, like kind of just saying how it aligns with Adidas brands and values. And that is essentially what got me through to the second round with the recruiter, which I didn't know. I thought the recruiter, that was the end. I got the job after that, but I didn't know, like, she's just funneling you out to send you to, the managers. So I had about 5 interviews. And throughout the process, I'm talking to my recruiter and she's like, like they really like you. You're doing good. Like this, work on this more, this and this and this. But she's saying like, it's looking good. And I'm like, I don't trust you. Like I have trust issues. Like, am I getting this job or not? Because how am I going to 5 interviews? But did those 5 interviews and I was scheduled to do one role. And then I remember it pivoted to a different role because they wanted me to interview for a different one. And I think also advice is like being willing to pivot and kind of like learn different roles and also be open to different roles. I think that really helps. So did those interviews and then finally offered a offer letter, which I had to sign.
I think for like my current job that I have, it was a big test of patience. I was like, hi everyone, I'm a recent graduate and I have bills to pay. Give me a job now. And that is not what happened. I probably had an interview a month after I graduated, and then 3 weeks of silence, and then another follow-up interview, and then maybe 2 more weeks of silence, and then another interview with someone else, and then a couple more weeks of silence, and then maybe a couple more weeks of silence. And then I got interviews like, hey, you might be getting this job. Can we have some more information? So I was definitely like freaking out and flipping out. So if there's anyone who's like, about to graduate and is like, how in the world am I going to get a job? Like, best friend, trust me, I get it. But having that patience helped me not only just like calm down in the interview process and just wait for things to happen as they do. That is the practice of a lot of big companies. It might take a while, but also being proactive. I wasn't putting all my eggs in this basket. I was applying to many other places just in case this place didn't, come through. So, definitely like have a list of like where else you would like to work. But also, and I'm gonna make this quick, but there's a point sometimes in fashion careers when jobs can evolved just out of connections, not really in a pretentious, oh, I know someone who knows someone way, but, when you're at a place, not only is it your manager and your peers, but there's a lot of different people looking at you. And I remember maybe my junior year of college, I was at this internship where this woman at the director level, I was convinced she did not like me. I was like, this woman hates me. She's never had a good thing to say about me. She probably thinks my outfits are ugly. She doesn't like me. But little did I know, she was watching me. She was watching my work ethic. She was watching the assignments I would submit. She saw that I would be the first one to arrive at the office and the last one to leave. And at some point in that process, she came to me and asked me, like, where do I want my career to go? And before I knew it, the next place I was at, it wasn't even through an application. It was because someone brought up my name, someone I didn't even think was paying attention to me or liked me. So, that's just like a testament of any job you're in, put your best foot forward because you do not know who's watching.
Absolutely. The same exact thing has happened to me. You truly never know who is out there watching you. And with that nugget of advice, I'm going to pause. We're going to jump into some demos by the two Cameryns. But first, I am going to remind you to remix that template that we keep dropping in the chat. All you have to do is go in there, modify it to your heart's content, post it on LinkedIn, and drop the link in the chat. And you can maybe get you can definitely get some swag. You can get a one-on-one session, maybe if you get chosen, and maybe a year of Creative Clouds. So keep dropping those links. And now, Cameryn Williams, are you ready to show us this beautiful demo?
I am ready.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the stream, and you can talk to us about what we're seeing.
Okay, nice. The cool thing about Adobe Express is that there are a lot of cool templates that kind of help you start, but you can also start from scratch. So I decided to start with a blank canvas here because at my job, they like, just very clean cut, like visuals for any decks. So this is an advertising recap deck for print, which means, whatever we've done in print for the last campaign. Like, how did it do? What's the performance? What did it look like? So here we have an insertion in Elle magazine. I took this picture at my desk of the Gucci ad and used Adobe Express cutout feature to place it. And then I decided to add a little bit more just decoration to the slide to show that it was something very passionate for the company, a big moment for this new campaign. So I was like, let's just add a brush stroke. So I was able to reverse the order so the logo can be on the top and lower the opacity so it can be a little bit more visible. And then I had to add the Gucci branding that we use. So we use a GG logo. I was able to, instead of using the cutout feature, I was able to just find a white logo and make the background of this solid text or of this solid template to be white so it can just look transparent, look clean. So right now we have the magazine image, the magazine logo, the Gucci branding, and then we have to have text about the magazine. So this is where I would add all of like the important information about how much did this insertion cost for the company? How much circulation and visibility did it get? What campaign was it? Like all of the things that my boss is going to ask questions about. I'm just going to add it here, reformat the text to be a little bit more conducive to the whole space, format it right under the logo, and just make it nice and clean and pretty. So it's a pretty simple process because even though the template is start from scratch here, all the elements that you need to edit and make little tweaks here and there are already there for you. So it was really easy to adjust this. And once I got the first rhythm of what I wanted to do, I was able to do the complete deck for all of the insertions or all of our key insertions that we have for this season. So I'll show you guys a couple of slides that show the other insertions. So this is Elle magazine. I think the next one is either Vogue or Interview, right? Yeah, so Vogue, same thing here on the right. This is a image that I just took at my desk. And when you go into Adobe Express, there will be like a automatic button to remove background. That's why this magazine is able to look just like nice and clean cut and like flush with the back. And then adding that logo and that art effect. There were a lot of different brushstroke icons I could use. So I was like, okay, that would be like the aesthetic theme for this project. And then I used then I input a couple of stats here. Like my boss is going to know what issue this was. This is Vogue magazine September issue, you know, a 3 double-page spread, and it cost a lot of money, $110,000, but it got a lot of attention, 2.8 million circulation. And then last but not least, we had Elle, which is what the demo was from. And then next we have Interview Magazine. This is the Kim Kardashian issue. So we had a lot of good coverage here, 900,000 circulation, $55,000 costs, but all nice and clean and put together with the same aesthetic as the others. So yeah, this is just what I would submit after a campaign that we've launched, and all my bosses' bosses will look at it and be like, yes, this was worth it. This is good. Congrats, Cameryn.
Amazing. I am obsessed with how clean and beautiful those look. You have a really good eye for design.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Cameryn Shaw, are you ready to show us what did you make, an Instagram story?
Yes, I made an Instagram story to
Okay,
promote some of the items. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead in this demo to create a story to promote some of our items. So first I added the logo, and then I picked one of my favorite outfits that has 2 of our products on the model and added that and removed the background, which is a super helpful tool that I found on Adobe Express. I wanted to add a zoomed up photo of the earring because that is the second product. And I added a cute little shape to it that matched the Taurus logo in my opinion. And I found a font that I found best. And I wanted to say shop the look. So then I went ahead and added exactly what we are selling on our website. Kind of adjusted and played with it. The Adobe Express makes it super easy to work with. And yeah, adding the designers in. And then I wanted to make it clearly identifiable what we were looking at. So I just added a 1 and a 2 to each product. And then following that, I added a shape to, I've clearly identified the 1 and the 2 to just make sure that it's very clear what's selling. And of course, on Instagram, stories go so fast. So just making that more identifiable. And from there, I wanted to kind of just adjust things, make sure it's right. And I wanted to connect the photo to the product that I was mentioning. So I added the cute little 2 dots right there, zoomed in, and I could leave it that way, but I decided to add a little bit of background to add dimension to it. So I added it there and I sent it all the way to the back, reduced the transparency, and then there's my story.
I love all of the ways that you used visuals to kind of direct people's eyes. So with those numbers and the little dots, I love those little details that you thought about. I think that's a really good visual storytelling. So great job on that, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, everybody, reminder to drop your links to your projects in the chat. I keep seeing a lot of links, so keep them coming. Oh, someone said, I love that hat. It's very furry. Maybe I should add that to my birthday outfit. Fur hat, feather tube top, leather pants, 5-inch heels. Let's go. Okay, how do y'all feel about moving to audience questions now? We have about 15 minutes left. I feel like we should answer some of the people's questions. We will start out with a question from Esmeralda. What internships did you do that got you to Adidas, Sole?
So I think it wasn't necessarily internships. It's kind of just work. I've had internships, I guess, with news stations and writing skills. I also kind of went out of my way to find work. I feel like a lot of people struggle with finding, their dream internship or like their dream job in the meanwhile. So I definitely went out of my way for UC Santa Barbara. I actually contacted like the basketball team, was like, hey, like I have all these skills. Do you have a spot for me? And I heard back and they're like, yeah, we do. Just give us more details. And I was able to get that. But prior to that, a year ago, I had emailed them and I heard nothing. So it's kind of just like finding a way to really hone my craft and to know that like no work is beneath you. You don't need to have like a Adidas internship, you know, to make it. Like it really starts on the level one, and like take pride with that too, because that's how your journey progresses. I feel like a lot of people think like I want this job right away, and it starts with like this like square one really. But even square one, I look back and like that was like the best time of my life, because it's really like where I learned and was able to really develop. And so I think that finding internships that you are passionate about is going to lead you to the right people in the right places. Specifically for me, for my Adidas one, I would say your school has a lot of like opportunities within clubs, within campus like teams or whatnot. Also, prior to that, I was on the newspaper, which a lot of people, I love the newspaper. A lot of people might not think that's a glamorous job, but that really helped me for Adidas, because that really helped me write and be able to really just like explain and pitch stories and pitch campaigns. So I feel like take advantage of what your school offers you, especially because it's free most of the time, and if they want to hire students. And also too within your community, looking at things that you're passionate about, and just know that no work is beneath you. I hope that answered.
I think it definitely did. And I think like the point of it too is that even if you don't think that something directly applies to what you're working towards, a lot of times the skills that you learn in unrelated things are actually very, very useful. So like that newspaper internship, you know, like maybe that's not directly related to fashion, but you learned how to write, and most people cannot write. So you got that skill. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. A question from Kennedy for everybody. Did you experience imposter syndrome during your internships? And if so, what got you over it? If you did get over it, and if you didn't get over it, are you still experiencing imposter syndrome?
I feel like I did experience imposter syndrome, especially because I knew how many people I thought wanted my position, and I feel like it gave me anxiety and affected my work. So I decided to just really work on my confidence and work towards knowing that I deserve to be in the spot and I am in that spot. And ultimately that improved my work ethic, improved my work. So I was just working on myself throughout that experience.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Cameron. I wouldn't necessarily say I have completely gotten over imposter syndrome, because I still experience it to this day. But what works for me is kind of like positive reinforcement internally, just like Cameron mentioned, confidence and understanding that you deserve and you've worked for this. So why not embrace it? Of course, you might not be as experienced or have all the connections in the world, but what's most important is that you're in this room right now. So what are you going to do to leverage this experience for the next one? So that's just kind of how I keep myself going and, getting out of the imposter syndrome. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
I definitely had imposter syndrome, even leading up to getting the job. I remember there's some people that applied to the same position as me and DM'd me like, hey girl, like I saw, because I made TikToks kind of about it, like, you applied, did you get it? And I was like, yeah. And them being like, I wish it was me, but like, congrats, or like stuff like that. I'm just like one girl, I think she commented her thing, she's like, even though I wish it was me, like, congrats. I was like, okay. But I really think there's power behind words, and it's like really what you think, because someone could tell you that you are the, and if you don't believe that, then you don't believe that. And someone could tell you that you aren't the and if you don't believe that, you don't believe that. It really comes down to what you believe. And something that I really stood out to me with my Adidas internship is I got to meet some amazing people. And I worked with the Ivy Park side, so whole I guess Parkwood team. The way they talk to themselves and to others was just very much like, wow, like they really were about their words and very uplifting, and every little thing they say, it was always very uplifting, to the point where it's like, wow, you really talked about yourself in such a humble but like highly way. And I think I carried that with me, and just like waking up in the morning and be like, you are doing amazing, like you're doing great, you're going to be successful today, we're going to get the job done, and being so positive, because I feel like we are our biggest like critics. And so I feel like the way I speak to myself or think about myself has definitely changed. And it's not something you can do over the night, but definitely when you hear yourself talking bad about yourself, you need to take care of that and think about younger you who inspired to have those goals and to reach them, and just give credit to that person as well, because you made progress, even if it's little steps or baby steps, like you made progress. Sometimes it really comes down to, if you're really feeling imposter syndrome, to take a moment to think of all the things you've accomplished and all the goals that have came, and really just give yourself a pat on the shoulder, because sometimes we're so quick to have a goal, reach it, and like, what's the next move? What's the next move? But it's all about slowing down and really appreciating the journey. And again, what was said before, knowing that you're here for a reason. And if someone didn't believe in you, you would not be sitting in that seat at all.
Amen. Cameryn, do you want to answer that one, or should we move on?
I mean, yeah, it's so awkward because I'm literally in such a tunnel of imposter syndrome now. I mean, you know, being at like these companies, there is a very high level of excellence that is expected. And it's usually all the time. It's usually at every moment of your life. Once
No pressure.
You know, it is. And like, it's, you know, I think I did a good job of being realistic about what was expected of me, but I probably didn't prepare enough to be realistic about what I was able to give. And sometimes when it's like between like you as a person, like your capacity to execute demanding tasks at a high level, versus the pressure of what's being asked and the threat of there being others who are ready to assume that position. It's like challenging on your mental health. It's challenging on your confidence. And sometimes I find myself in a very difficult position where I'm like, you know, oh goodness, I've messed up. You know, I've had a failure. And I feel like I can't afford to have a failure because I'm in like such a blessed opportunity and I don't want to squander it. You know, so I remember times I would really beat myself up. I'm like, you can't not be perfect. Every day you have to wake up and be perfect because that is what's being expected of you. But to be honest, it's like not realistic, and that's okay. It's okay to know that you're gonna have failures. And if it was just me alone, I would have never realized that. But the way I realized it, the way I got over that imposter syndrome, was being honest with my peers. You know, stripping away like whatever clout I thought I had by working at Gucci or working at Louis Vuitton or whatever I had before, and being like, I'm a guy who's really struggling. I'm hyperventilating. I think I'm having a panic attack. And then I'd have friends in the industry who'd be like, oh, same. Oh yeah, I literally cried in the bathroom yesterday, and that cry really helped me. And I was like, oh, it's not just you. So realizing everybody is kind of on the same level, you know, everybody goes through stress and pressure, and imposter syndrome kind of fuels that. But once you connect to people and get the truth about what everyone's going through, you kind of see clearly what you're going through, and that imposter syndrome becomes a little bit more manageable.
Mm-hmm. Once you realize that like no one really knows what they're doing ever, it becomes a little more manageable. You know? You're like, oh, everyone is making this up. Like from here all the way up to the CEO, just, you know,
I used to wish in college, I wish I was like McKinley, where I could like comprehend finance and like business terminology and become like a finance major. I was like, I wish I could do that, because at least there's like a step 1, step 2, step 3 is just so clear and laid out. And I was talking to one of my friends over the weekend who just got a huge job at like a finance firm. And I'm like, oh, you're really doing it. You're like at the top of your game, like hitting the ground running. He's like, Cameryn, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like, I was like, thank you for saying that. That actually, you know, that is what makes me feel better. That helps me like to propel on, knowing that like my finance bro best friend also does not know what he's doing. And that's great.
No, absolutely. And kind of in that vein-ish, Carla asked, is it true fashion is cutthroat and that you have to know someone in fashion to get in? Which I'm really interested to hear your answer too.
I mean, you know, I really rejected the you got to know someone who knows someone. like politics of fashion. But when I got into it, it became real apparent and it was real obvious that that is how it is. But it's not in the way that most people think. In high school, I was working in retail at Abercrombie and Fitch. And I was like, this is not real fashion industry work. What? I want to be with the big dog. Just thinking it was like so different. It was a different level because it was a different position.
Let's answer this question. Stephanie asked, how do you find your niche in the fashion industry?
I think it's different for everyone. I personally found that going off of what I like and what excites me is my niche. And from there, I feel like I was able to like explore, really just learn about the things that I wanted to learn about. So I think just like focusing on what you love and like is like the best tool.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm still honestly exploring. Of course, I still have those main areas that I'm highly interested in. Just haven't had, full experience with. But I think what's most important, regardless of what niche you're trying to get into, if you can get that first step and use that experience to leverage what you want to go into, it'll definitely pay off. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing right now, just kind of grooming, gaining as much experience as possible to use for the next.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I feel like what's really helped me are just being able to explore different avenues and different interests. When I interned for Adidas specifically, it's Adidas, it's a sportswear brand, but there's also different levels of it. Like you have Ivy Park, you have Human Race, you have Yeezy, you have different things, and then you have collaborations with like Kith and just different avenues to explore. And I feel like that was really interesting to me. And I think it's definitely one of those things where like know that if you start somewhere, like that's not the end goal or like that's not the end of all. You can always go into different fields. Because I mean, I started off in sports and now I'm working like in fashion. So definitely exploring different avenues and being open to explore and really learn about it and learn the whole scope of it. I feel like really helps you.
Absolutely. I'm going to just read this comment to y'all because I think it's really sweet. Nefertiti said, it is really a breath of fresh air to see so many people of color involved in the fashion world. Y'all are going to change fashion truly. And I have to agree. I'm really excited to see what we see from you guys in the future. We have time for one last question. I'm gonna make it a fun one. Let's do, what is a fashion brand you currently love and why?
I feel like my favorite brand is Jean Paul Gaultier. He like all of his old collections have been so amazing, but recently I like it in his new collections. He has a guest designer for each new collection, which allows new designers to spearhead their ideas, of course, using the same codes. So that has always been one of my all-time favorites.
One of my all-time favorites, and I might be a little biased, but it is Gucci. Hey, Cameryn. But mainly because of the social and community outreach they invest so heavily in. You don't really see a lot of luxury brands doing that. And just to be able to witness the impact, the direct impact into, underserved communities is amazing. So it's one of my favorite brands.
I'm gonna be biased and just say Ivy Park since I got to work with them, and I really, really got to see a lot of like behind the scenes, and also to learn about like the meaning behind each drop. I feel like really has inspired me. I got to work on reimagining rodeo, so seeing that it was centered around POC cowboys and that it was handpicked by POC cowboys and just it's unisex and just all the things that went in depth behind it really has made me just form a more love for Ivy Park and Beyonce and all that's put in through that campaign. So I'm gonna say Ivy Park. Plus, I have my closet full of Ivy Park from my internship that I wear every day. So I'm gonna say Ivy Park.
Okay, so like gunning for that promotion. I see.
I know. I'm like working off the
Cameryn, welcome back. We are doing what is a fashion brand you love and why for our final question.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I love Yeezy because that is the brand that initially like sparked my interest in fashion. I feel like if it wasn't for Kanye and like him doing Yeezy season 1 while I was in high school, I probably would still be like real confused about my life. But also there's just so many brands that are innovating this new generation of what design is. And because of that, like I'm super into Telfar. They just have such a like good eye for accessory design. As so like it's so beautifully modeling. You know, they make products, you know, beyond them being like a Black owned brand, a small company, beyond all of that, the product is good and the design is there. Like from the jewelry, like the belts, the hardware that they do, the way that they take the idea of logo and push that concept a little bit forward to be more of like a community mindset, like additive instead of just straight branding. And then they like have assets and creative and campaigns and videos that feel so unrestricted, so like unashamedly them, so unashamedly their culture. And I'm like, see, that is what like a brand that's starting small and that will turn into a Christian Dior or Yves Saint Laurent. Like that's what that looks like.
Yeah, and that also comes back to authenticity, right? Is like they are being who they are as the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you all. And that was our last question. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was so nice to meet you all and hear about your experiences. And I think that our audience really loved it too. We would love your feedback, audience. So take a moment to fill out this post-event survey. The link is in the chat, and we just want to make these events better for you. So give us some feedback and let us know how we can do it. And with that said, that wraps it up for this session. Thank you so much for joining us, Cameryn, Sole, McKinley, and Cameryn. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and advice with us. And to our audience, you can find the full episodes of past events on our Young Creators YouTube playlist or Adobe Express's YouTube channel. And to find out about upcoming events, you can join our Adobe Creative Community Discord server. We put the links in the chat to everything you need: socials, surveys, Discord servers, all of that. And with that, I think we're going to sign off. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.